Fellow cardboarders, welcome back. My 4-year journey of building a Legends set cube slowly comes to an end with a new addition to the cube. It's time for another installment of Quest for Cube. 3 weeks ago I went on a little vacation with my wife, and just at the beginning of the vacation I drove over to Tobias, who had this card for me ready for sale, and we had a nice deal. I've teased the card of today's video in a Who's That Magic card already, as well as a little pixelated post, but today is the big reveal. So let's look at the card. Let's not build up any more suspension. It is the most expensive card in the entire Legends set, and from now on my most expensive card that I own. It's a Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. I will take it out of the sleeve now. It's quadruple sleeved. So let's take it out now, since I want to put it into my set cube. And this is how I transported it, just to be sure that it will not get bent. It is already in a Dragon Shield matte sleeve, which is how I built the set cube. And I'm so thankful that I was able to buy this card with a deferred payment, which is an option if you want to be able to afford more expensive cards that cost hundreds, if not thousands of euros. If the seller is willing and fine with you for doing a deferred payment of like monthly payments that you do. We also signed a little contract so that we both hold the sides of our deals, especially I hold the side of my deal of sending him regular payments to pay off this card. And yes, this can be an option if you want to be able to afford a more expensive card. Other things you can do, and while we talk a little about finance and look at my set cube, how far we've come since 2019 or 2021-ish actually is when I really started and set out to build this cube. So let's look at the rears. Other options are, if the seller or trader is able to do that for you, is to trade in card value. If you have cards that you no longer need, you are able to give them cards that are worth like hundreds of dollars, cards that you no longer need, maybe cards that you have double, triple, quadruple of, and maybe you're only playing Commander and you only need one of each now, don't you? And then you can either proxy them or swap them out through the decks, and then are able to afford other cards that might interest you and enable you to play other cards in Commander, for example, a Tabernacle. This will go into my Hana Ship's Navigator deck while I do not play with this Legends set cube. If I play with my Legends set cube with friends and family, I will put the Tabernacle back into the cube, obviously. And these are all the rears of the Legends cube. There are only 3 cards missing, I've noticed. I do not play the cultural offensive cards that have been banned, just to be on the safe side if I draft or play a sealed with people I don't really know that much. They might feel offended if I play a certain card. I don't want to have those in there, but there are still enough in here to be able to draft with up to 10 players. In the Eye of Chaos was actually the very first card that I went out to buy end of 2021 for a Orvar sorcery tribal deck with no instants, and I figured maybe I want to build a cube at some point. So this was actually the first step that I went to get this card. The actually very first card that I owned from Legends was Angus Mackenzie. I traded it away at some point when I took apart this deck, and then I wanted to build it again, and I traded it back again from the friend, and I think they lost it somehow. I think it fell between like shelves or something, or like a bed or something. Yeah, there's like a little line here, maybe they rolled over with a chair. Like, that's some history, and they found it again. They like it was lost kind of, and they were like, maybe they traded away, they don't know. And then at some point they came back after a couple of months, and they were like, they found the Angus again, and they traded it to me for like 20 more bucks that it was worth then. And maybe I traded away for like 60 and got it for 80 again. And I don't know how expensive a Angus Mackenzie is today, maybe 200? I don't know. I'm not following prices on these cards if I'm not looking to buy them again. But I never had the thought back then in 2019 that I would build a Legends set cube. This came 2 years after, when I had the Dart cards from my cousin given to me, and I was like, I have so many Dart cards, maybe you can do something with them. And I started the idea of building a set cube, and I would really like to share this set cube with other YouTubers. If someone would be interested in coming to Germany and draft this cube, they should hit me up. Like, this would be really interesting. And of course with friends and family is where I share it. I'm not looking to take it to an LGS and just opening it and risking that someone just takes a card. That would be not too nice. One of the other early cards that I got was Plannergate. There was like a creature heavy deck that I put this card in. Maybe it has had some artifacts in there as well. I don't remember what deck that was where I put this card in. At some point I took this deck apart and this was left over. I think it's pretty minty actually, if I'm not mistaken. I paid around 50 bucks for that. Yeah, that is very clean. It has a little roller line here that camera picks it up. And other than that, it's really clean. And that was also one of my very first cards. This one I acquired in March of 2019. So actually this one was in December of 2019, so this was my second card, and I got the Plannergate a little earlier. Though you could say I owned this card even earlier when I had it first traded away and got it again, but these two were the first ones that I had and kept since 2019. So that's something. These are the rest of the rares, and only 3 cards are missing. So only 3 cards. Maybe you have seen or recognized which ones are missing. Let's look at the last ones here. The Tabernacle we will put aside here. Got a signed Divine Intervention here. The cultural sensitive cards I took out, as I already said, and don't own also. But there are only 3 cards missing, which are also quite expensive cards. The missing cards are still Moat, Chains of Mephistopheles, and the Abyss. So these all together almost cost as much as a Tabernacle. Let's look at the condition of the Tabby for a moment. Like, it is not near mint by far. It's like lightly played in European terms, probably like MP condition, maybe even poor damaged, because it has a tiny bit of like a bend down here, but this is perfect for me. Like, I like to use cards that normally people would maybe pass on, and giving these cards a second home or a new home is just perfect for my cube. It is not as or too used to be recognized through sleeves, since these are matte sleeves and you barely recognize them throughout the other cards that are also here, that also have like LP conditions and have some white nicks and dings here and there, and you don't mind normally in a casual game of a draft or a sealed. So while we'll talk a little more, let's look at the uncommons, because I am planning on doing a little review of all the cards that Legends has when I have all the cards that exist. Or maybe even earlier. I'll see. I also have the Dark Set Cube finished out. I could do that there. Is like a little, or even a long form video of like which cards should you pick in a draft or sealed, which are actually playable. Like this one really isn't that playable, but cards like Sylvan Library are really interesting in a draft or sealed format, even though you only have like 20 life points, and paying 4 for an extra card would be quite expensive. But if you have like some life gain ability, this can be really interesting. For example, this one combined with his Sylvan Library could get quite interesting. And the idea would be, if I already have all these set cubes, to have a little discussion of cards that are playable, draftable, and if you would draft these cards. And this shows it only took me like 4 years to acquire all of these cards, and I haven't even had any of these commons. The very first common that I got was Flash Counter, and that was in November of 2021. And I just found some people online that had several commons, like hundreds of commons, and would sell them for a nice bulk price if I take them all in a one deal thing. So set yourself a goal and try to work towards it. Don't get the newest, flashiest cards if you don't really want them. If that is your goal, obviously work towards that. But especially in regards to old cards, why not set yourself a goal of I really always wanted to get, let's say, a transmute artifact or something like that, and maybe trade towards it or sell some cards that you no longer need. Or maybe find someone who's willing and okay with a little deferred payment of, like, let's say $50 per month, and both of you are happy because one of them is able to sell the card and the other one is happy to get the card that they always wanted. So obviously never go overboard and borrow money and have like a high interest rate of, like, I don't know, 10% or something. If you do that, try to have it like 3% at max, but still at like a 2,000 euro card, this would still be what, like $60 per year, so that's not great. So that's why I say always have the money or be able to do a deferred payment without any interest rates, so you don't risk your existence by using money that you don't have and now having to pay some unforeseen stuff that sometimes happens if your washing machine kind of breaks down or something. Now for the last 3 missing cards, I will try to be on the lookout and see if I can find some nice deals. I'm not going right overboard and trying to really finish this set cube out, since I can already play it with like 10 players and I don't really mind if I'm missing these 3 cards. Would be nice to have them, but if I find a nice deal, I will obviously pick them up. And yeah, it's really nice. This YouTube channel is now like 3 years old. I started it out in August, and maybe I should do a live stream, right? For the few ones that are still watching, maybe we should do a little live stream celebration where we celebrate the 3 years on YouTube that CardboardTutor now is. I'll see what I come up with. And if I can't find the 3 missing cards of Legends, I will just pick up other stuff that I still need for my other cubes, which are cheaper, and maybe I find a nice deal on them. There is, again, already another Quest for Cube video coming out soon for other cards that I acquired. But since this is such a special card, I wanted to give this card the video it deserves. A special video just dedicated to the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. But now I do want to hear from you. Do you have some goals of owning a certain card? What do you do to work towards it? Let's help each other out to gather some ideas, to try to motivate each other to get to these goals. So let me hear those in the comments below. I wish you a beautiful day, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.